Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to this edition of The Final Whistle on theirmedia.tv. And our usual email is info@theirmedia.tv. And everything tonight on The Final Whistle, we hope, when you'll be looking back at it, will be gold, including my tie in a celebration of the wonderful Kelly Harrington. Another gold medal for us here. Anyway, we're going to open up the show with a clip, and hope you enjoy it. On the island who were and further afield, really, Kelly Harrington. Did we all see the fight? James, did you see it sometime?
I did. I didn't see it live. What was the reason? Oh yeah. I set the alarm, and I also set my phone on silent, which was a reason.
You're so not having.
I watched the silent version of it.
No. You vote for people aren't having it very lucky, are you, this week?
No, we're not having we didn't have a good weekend at all. Except for the soccer team. The soccer team beat Bowes.
I'll tell you,
very good result.
And Kelly, of course, I mean, I got up to see the fight anyway, you know, and because I was going to Dublin anyway to the match as well. So I said, what's an hour more? Anyway, I suppose in Ireland, we would celebrate a gold medal. We will celebrate any kind of a medal, to be honest with you. But Anna, I know it's retrospect is a fantastic thing, but did you expect her to win the gold? Because I certainly did.
When this started, we say when the qualifiers came out, all I wanted was for Kelly and the girls to qualify. After that, everything was a bonus. I told them, go out and enjoy it. Everything else now is a bonus. Anytime she gets into the ring, I'm nervous anyway, so I was nervous. But I knew that Kelly wouldn't box the same way as the Finnish girl. Kelly doesn't go in. Kelly works on the outside, and she lets the boxer come to her. Whereas the Finnish girl was walking straight into the Brazilian girl's fist. And she's a very, very strong right hand, you know. But I think halfway into the first round, I actually thought myself and my daughter Tracy thought that Kelly had done enough, because we only saw the Brazilian landing 2 punches on Kelly, but we saw Kelly landing a lot more. But when she came out in that second round, I mean, that was Kelly. She changed her stance and off she went, and the 5 judges voted her. Once I knew when she got that second round of the 5 judges, all she needed then was one of them judges. Yeah. 2 of the judges already had her winning. It was 2018. So that she had to win on those 2 judges' cards. So she only needed one more judge for her to win the contest. And she went out in the final round, and she does what Kelly does best. She kept her calm, she kept her cool, and she won her contest.
And Mary, when you were watching the fight yourself, obviously everyone was nervous, because in a boxing match, anything can happen, as we know, whether it's amateur or professional. One punch can land it properly and in the right speed can really just finish your fight. Were you apprehensive when you were watching?
Well, unlike, I suppose I've always loved boxing. I was brought up with it as a child. My grandmother in England was mad about boxing, and I suppose I followed it, but I wouldn't be as knowledgeable as Anna or you, Pat. Certainly in it, but I was looking and I was thinking, oh, she's winning every fight, because I could see her. To me, she was hitting and she was scoring all the time, and to me, she looked the most confident and she was the most upright. And I was looking at it from a confidence point of view, and I was saying, Kelly, just keep smiling and convince the judges that you're still confident and you have this. And like Anna, the first round, I thought I was going to get sick. I really did, because I didn't know what way it was going. I wasn't sure. And as I said to Anna before we started, you, Pat, were on the other side, and you're on the phone. I rang Pat
and his TV was slightly behind our TV, my TV at home. So I was knowing the results of a round before Pat knew the result of a round. But Pat was saying, no, she has this and she has this round. And I shouted, she's after getting, all the judges are after giving her this round. And Pat said, I haven't heard that. And I said, they've just announced it. And he said, I'm behind you. So it was like, it was so tense, Anna. I thought I was going to get a stroke watching it. I thought, Jesus, you know.
When I heard, when they were going to announce it and they said unanimous decision, I knew then she had it. I knew she had it. I knew then she had it.
Yeah.
But I was frightened of as well, Mary, even though I knew she should get the decision. I was frightened of what happened to Kirk Walker.
Yeah,
winning the 2 rounds and losing the contest.
Terrible.
And
Jimmy, did you manage to see the fight anyway?
I saw recordings of it, all right. And I have been reading up about it. That the interesting thing that comes out of it all is completely against the Olympic ethos. Her father, the Brazilian girl's father, is already moaning about how the second round was wrongly given to Kelly Harrington, and but funny enough, his daughter is not saying anything of the kind. She's saying that she lost and that's the end of it. But he's making
he's making
well, you know, Jimmy, he mustn't know very much about boxing if he thought his daughter won the second round.
He's supposed to be a world champion twice.
Well, if he is, he was talking as a father and not a coach.
Yeah, exactly. He had a biased view. Anyone with eyes.
Either that, Anna, or he's thinking as a future manager of a professional boxer. Because
Jimmy, if it was professional boxing, Kelly still would have won that round because she outclassed her and she outpunched her. And a blind man could see that she won it.
Even I could see that.
What I mean is, in the pro game, the Brazilian girl would probably pick up more fights because of her physique and the type of fighter that she is. Yeah. And I think that's what he's thinking of.
Yeah, but his daughter is more a fighter than a boxer.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's what most people want to see in Vegas.
Yeah, I agree with you. In professional boxing, they prefer to see a fighter, and they prefer to see her coming forward and hitting each other. Where actually in amateur boxing, it's more, we'll say,
painting.
It's just there's more ethos to it, and there's more flair to it. You know, I mean, it's not all about getting hit; it's about not getting hit.
Yeah. It's the tactics.
Before we leave, in the boxing tournament in this Olympics, there were only 5. I just reading up there. There were only 5 weights for the women, which was flyweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, and middleweight. Bulgaria, Japan, Ireland, Turkey, and Great Britain won the gold medals in those, so they were an even spread. But in the men, interestingly enough, in the men's boxing, before we leave boxing, the USA didn't win any gold medal.
No, I was very upset for Billy Walsh. I really was. I would have loved, I would have loved Billy Walsh to have got a gold medal. I really would have. But Billy's boxers were unlucky because at the end, he might have got them to finals, but they were boxing Cubans. And you're going against Cuban, you might as well forget about it.
Well, the 3 of them got silver medals and they got a bronze medal as well. That's the Americans. But the Cubans won 3 golds. Great Britain, Russia, which I call out, which I think shouldn't have been there.
ROC.
Cuba, Brazil, Cuba, and Uzbekistan in the men's boxing. But I'm saying, Jimmy and lads, Russia, to me, I think this made a complete mockery of the Olympics, being banned from all international sports everywhere, and yet allowed into a team across all sports in the Olympics, Jim. What do you think of that?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's absolutely disgraceful. And it just goes to show that there's 2 things that the Olympic Council, the International Olympic Council, seem to pay any attention to. 1 is money, and 2 is the power of the country that they're taking on. I think they're scared of Putin. It's just as simple as that. They just won't do what they should do and just kick them out End of story. This, as Anna said, ROC, the Russian Olympic Council, which is what they're actually boxing under. It's all they've done is they've adapted the rules to leave that horrible word for as a waterman, the back door open to people like Russia who have been decidedly naughty to come back in. And I think it's appalling, absolutely appalling.
Well, what happened to our world body, the ABA? They suspended ABA after the last Olympics because they said our finances, we owed 10 million or something at the time, and the referees and judge and that, and I couldn't agree more. I was in Rio and it was a disgrace. And one of them was our own, he was a 5-star from Ireland. But the only thing I will say is that what they try to do is they try not to bring it, let me say, like they left Ireland compete as Ireland and all the countries compete and gave us qualifiers. But they brought a guy in charge of judo in, and I kind of was frightened that they mightn't actually know what they're, what our ethos and what our rules are like. But they watched and they brought our officials, our RNJs, Derry McDermott now. Derry was one of them. For the first time in years, we actually got a referee judge in the Olympics, and he done very, very well. He got to referee 2 finals and to judge 3, which is brilliant, Fantastic. But the thing about it is we have a new president and he is Russian, but they've cleared our debt and they're really, really trying to clean up boxing. They really, really are.
Can I just say something while Anna's here? It's something that Pat and myself were talking about the other day, and I said to myself, I must ask Anna about it. The way there's always this doubt, and you're saying to yourself, oh God, will this referee, not this referee, but will this judge go with, or will they go with, or are they biased? And when you see certain judges from certain countries, and it's so subjective and everything like that. The way in fencing, the saber has a little light on the end of it. I wonder, I was thinking, why don't they come up with some system where that can be attached maybe to a glove, that when it makes contact with headgear or that it scores
Well, actually, Mary,
each time.
when I was at a World Body meeting, and we all speak about the way our boxers box. Ireland is about the only country that actually, from 11 to 13-year-olds that have full contact.
Yeah.
The others don't. They do something. I think it's Australia. I can't think it was Australia or Finland, one of the two countries. They were telling us that what they have is, like you're talking about, Mary, there's this electric thing on their vests.
Yeah.
And the minute that a proper shot hits, it comes up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. At least that way, then you know, Kelly has scored 5. This girl has scored 1. But
then, Mary, you don't need judges if you're going to have that.
We'd be doing you out of a job then, poor Anna. We'd be doing but at least it could be used in conjunction with that. You almost like Hawkeye in tennis. That you could say, well, the judges are there, and if anything has to be challenged, they could go back to
Mary. This. I saw after Jimmy, after Paddy Barnes qualified.
Coffee and while the women are chatting, while the women folk are chatting.
Sorry.
Leave it. Ignore him, Anna.
No, I'm sorry. It's just a point I want to put across. A point I want to put across to Mary, Jimmy. When Paddy Barnes qualified for the Olympics, right? Yeah. My son Jim was boxing in the final of the Irish title. And my husband said to him, now, Jim, you're down 10 pints before you go in the ring. And he said, you have to, realize that. So Jim went in against Paddy. They're great old pals. He went in against Paddy. He had beaten Paddy the year before, and he couldn't go to high performance because he was serving his time as an aircraft mechanic. Paddy could. So they went into the ring, and this friend of mine, he's from above in Mayo, and he said to me, I'm going down. I said to the bathroom, I couldn't watch it. It's done before it even starts. Now he said, don't be like that, Anna. Don't be like that. Jim landed 3 beautiful punches. He didn't get anything for it. The second round, he landed maybe 3 more. I would have gone into the 3rd round or the 4th round. I would have had Jim losing by 6-12, 6-10, right? And going into the 4th round, Jim was down 12-0. And my son that was in his corner just got the towel and thrown the towel in. Now, Jim didn't know why the towel was going in because we don't tell our boxers at the end of the rounds what the scores are.
Yeah.
But I remember Phil Sutcliffe, and I can't remember who else was doing the commentary, and they said even a blind man could see what young Moore landed.
Yeah.
We knew he wasn't going to win, you know, but give him what he deserved. So our register, they have a printout of the fight, and our register brought me up without taking the names off. Usually we would take the names off, not be let known who the judges are. He didn't take the names off. He said, there you are. He said, look at that. There was one judge. He had Jim losing 21-1. And not one of those 21 points came down for Paddy Barnes. He had qualified for the Olympics, so he had to win in the judges' eyes that time. And there was an awful uproar afterwards. It wasn't that Jim won. He didn't win. But Paddy Barnes went to the qualifier for the Olympics, or the Olympics. And he had a good draw the first side. And then when he came to, we said, the Chinese, he was beaten. And he said on television, I now know, he said, how Jimmy Moore felt the night of the final, he said. So that's a lot of that now is gone, I have to say, especially with our judges. That's gone because they'll be listed. If our judges do that, they're taken up.
You're terrified when you see certain judges coming on the panel. You see the names of the countries and you think, oh God, they're not going, are they going to go against, or are they going to, so you're trying to make it more transparent.
Well, what they do, Mary, is they put all the names into a computer, right? And they pick the names out, the computer picks the names out. But what they do try to do is to keep it as far away from that country of the boxers.
Yeah.
Well, there was 12 boxing fights, obviously, in the Olympics. I haven't seen them all yet, but I will. I saw 5 of them. And I think, you know, really, I'm not no expert, but I think that they're okay, the results. Jim?
Could I just finally reply to what Mary said there a little while ago, just to, while I fully appreciate, and I am a big supporter of all sorts of technology, I think to put sensors on the attire of both fighters and on the end of their gloves, I think it's a marvelous idea. However, there is a strong feeling out there now that the headgear does more harm.
It does,
concussions, and it's very likely that it will be dropped. In fact, I think, Anna, in men's boxing, isn't it pretty well gone?
It's gone since before the last Olympics, Jim. I was at a meeting of the World Body, and it was the medical commission that said that they were taking them off because they cause more concussion with helmets on than they do off. Yes. And my own husband, the Lord of mercy on him, he never agreed with helmets. He said, Anna, you get the same blows, he said, but he said, you don't go down. If you're hit, you go down. You get a chance to recover, he said. But with the helmet, you don't, he said. I think the helmets can do more damage than good. And now it's been proved they do. But not for the women. They're not taking them off the women.
But you could see with Kelly now the other day, she seems to have a constant problem with her helmet. It seems to be too loose.
No, Mary, you see,
or whatever. And
that's not her helmet. All the helmets, all the gloves, they're all supplied by whoever is running the championship. So Kelly would have her own. If she was above in the stadium now, she'd have her own gear.
And it would fit her.
But even the gloves, even their gloves are new gloves. They can't wear their own gloves, or they can't wear their own headgear.
That seems counterproductive.
The final whistle is the program, and our email, lads, for people who are looking on this is info@media.tv. Of course, we had our gold medals. We had bronze medals as well. We're not forgetting those. We're just concentrating on gold. Gold is all the talk tonight. And I love the fact that they painted the post office painted the local post box in gold with Kelly's name on it up there off Portobello Road. Anyone who knows Dublin, it is on the Lair Media page if you want to see it anyway. It looked fantastic.
Road, by the way.
Yeah, we had gold in the water as well. Let's not a while back. We had
Oh,
goal.
here we go. Cork again.
We
Jeez.
had goal for Finbar and Mr. O'Donovan, which I thought was magnificent, really.
Oh,
And
That was
brilliant.
something else.
Oh,
was
there he
spe-
they were telling a story today, lads, that Paul, is it Paul O'Donovan?
Paul O'Donovan, yeah.
Paul O'Donovan, strolling around with a Dunstore's bag of laundry, looking for the laundrette in the village.
No, he wasn't there. Paul wasn't there.
Not Paul, Gary O'Donovan.
Yeah.
Going around the village looking for the laundrette with his washing and the gold medal in his back pocket. Well, they were just exaggerated, but as if
They're not. They're probably Pat. They're not. I met them when I was at the last Olympics, and they used to be with Paddy Barnes. Now, Paddy Barnes, unless you know Paddy, you don't know what he's saying. He's real Belfast.
Not a clue.
And then you had these guys from Cork, and I don't even know they were always together, but I don't even know did they understand each other.
Yes.
Paddy is very hard to understand.
Yes.
I can understand the boys.
They understood the humour, I suppose, but it's great testament again of the lads, the dedication. And I suppose since these Olympics are delayed a year, there's only 3 years now to the next one in Paris. I said, now Kelly Harrington herself will be 34 for Paris. I don't know, will she carry on to that? I don't know, Jimmy. But Jimmy, did you see the men from Cork in the water?
I didn't see that. I have to admit, I'm not a huge Olympics fan, and certainly staying up until all sorts of ungodly hours in the morning just didn't turn me on. Again, having said that, I would happily have stayed up if I knew they were on. But like I said last week, all you got on certainly on television was we'll be with you from 11 at night until 8 in the morning or whatever, and you had to do a lot of work to find out what was on, what time was on.
And pull like a dog. That was this famous saying from the last Olympics, and they won the silver. But
close your eyes and pull like a dog.
But I'm being honest, Pat. I agree with Jimmy. What you're saying, Jimmy, we weren't told what time. I had to go on to a friend of mine that was over there, and he sent me the programs. And by the programs, I knew exactly what time our boxers were coming on. And I would put that up for the boxing or anybody that was on Facebook. I put that up every day. I took photographs. Do you hear my dog? She's going for her walk and says it now.
Yeah, no, so it's 8 o'clock. So it was going
to I put that up every day. Even the IABA, our council, like they weren't putting. I took photographs. I went over to television. I take the photographs for every fight that our boxers were in, and I put a report up with their photographs after everything. Other than that, when I put the programs up, people wouldn't have known what time they were on. I agree with you there, Jimmy. And we say if you're a boxing person and you want to see all the boxing, or you want to see all the rowing.
Dog yapping in the background there, Anna. That's because yourself, Honan, and Barry were talking about pull like a dog, and the poor creature doesn't know whether he's coming or going.
She's gone out for her walk now.
Do you know, Anna, I never slept a wink. I went to bed at 12 o'clock that night of Kelly's match. I was up again at 12:30, and I was still up at 7 o'clock that morning. And I was videotaping the presentation. And it was only when Audrey Neville said to me, we were crying along with you, Mary, that I actually played it back, and you could hear me sobbing in the background as the flag was going up, and Kelly was crying and I was crying, and I was trying.
I done the same, Mary. I taped it and put it up as well. And as you said, I just sat there and I cried and cried. As well. But I mean, lads, as you know, Jimmy might know, she called me out, Jimmy, after coming out of her semi-final.
She did.
Out of her semi-final match.
I heard that, Jeff. I heard that.
And she said she wanted to say hello. She call out Anna Moore. I was so humbled and I was so shocked. All I could do was cry.
What they call you, the Mammy of women?
Mammy of women's boxing.
Yeah.
But I thought it was I have a little friend in Bulgaria. She calls me Mama. And
but you'll be on the Late Show now next. But nothing will compare to being on Lear Media TV.
Aware of that. I said to Kelly, what are you after doing to me? I said, I mean, if you think of it, lads, she could have called out her mum and dad. She could have called out to Mandy, her partner. But she thought of me. I thought. But that's the kind of a girl she is.
Yes.
And when I got on to, she said, but Annie, you deserve it. You've always been there for me when I needed you. You know.
I'll tell you, after leaving Kelly's house in Portobello and making my way up to Croke Park, I had plenty of time in it. There was no rush, but all the people on the street, lads, all the people in that particular area, it's a very small area, and the attitude, I knew by them. I knew by the way they spoke. I knew by them the pride and
But the bag of potatoes.
That was the best, Mary.
Fantastic. But there's a few funny stories in the Olympics. Can you imagine, lads, Jimmy, winning the gold medal and being unconscious?
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
and not from drink.
I can't imagine winning a gold medal anyway, but I can't being unconscious. So yes, probably I can.
Yeah. In the judo, in the 75 kilo judo contest.
Karate,
Pat.
Yeah.
Not judo. Not judo.
Karate, I beg your pardon. The chap from Iran, I suppose, one of the moves in karate is a hansoku. I was reading up on it all day.
Oh, Jesus God, listen to that pronunciation, Mary.
And it was Hamidi was knocked out of the gold.
He committed a hansoku on Tanik Hamidi from Saudi Arabia.
Jesus, Mary.
Unconscious, bang. Everyone thought the contest was over, but the judges had a quick confab and
Tariq Hamidi was the boy that was disqualified.
But Pat, he kicked him in the throat. He could have killed the boy. He kicked him in the throat.
But isn't that what he's supposed to do in karate? Isn't that how you're supposed to score a knockout?
But I wouldn't think in the windpipe, Mary. I couldn't see that in any
very dangerous. It was really dangerous. But I mean, I don't think he did it deliberately. And to think the poor guy walked off he walked off the mat crying because he thought he had won, and next the guy that's unconscious on the floor is the winner.
But I wonder, do you know, Pat, did he get the silver medal?
He got the silver.
Oh.
I saw the fight, and it was just a quick. You should look at YouTube. And I said, oh, gee, that's a brilliant. I know nothing about judo, but it looked brilliant to me the way it was executed.
Very dangerous, though.
The man was jumping around, and then the three officials around the place looking at it had a quick confab. And well, I won't say they raised your man's hand up because he was unconscious. He was being taken.
He was next door in the recovery room when he woke up, and they told him he had won the gold.
Sorry, another one. In the Olympics, I don't know if you get to see much of the athletics, but to me, my God, I always loved this runner. I thought she was phenomenal. I thought she was clean all her life. I thought she was one of the genuine athletes coming out of the United States. Alison Felix.
That's right.
35 years of age, a mum, of course, to boot as well. And she won 2 medals at Tokyo, which brought her total Olympic medals to 11.
She's the most decorated woman in US track.
Most decorated athlete.
She's even more decorated than Carl Lewis.
Yeah.
One more. Now she was a 5 times Jesse Owens this award for the top athlete in the United States. She's won it 5 times. I think she might win it again this time. I don't know that, but she won it 5 times. 11 Olympic medals. She won a gold and a bronze in this Olympics. Yeah. Just phenomenal.
She was also a basketball player.
Yeah, Alison.
She was way behind in that final of the 400 meters, Pat, and she came out of nowhere to grab the bronze from the Jamaican.
Yeah, she was, and now we're going. The final whistle is the program on theirmedia.tv. Tell all your friends about us, and I tell you we might be getting some of this syndicated, lads, because we had a discussion briefly with 2 people over the weekend, one from New York City and one from Liverpool. It's particularly to do with sports programming, and they're looking for something from the diaspora. We'll be contacting them Wednesday, so we could all be famous on ESPN. Coast to coast, the United States, you would never know. Now, James, we're going to go along briefly to our national game here, our national sports, which is the game of hurling over the weekend. Now, we'll skip by Saturday because I wasn't at that match Saturday. I was in Croke Park yesterday, up in the Davin stand, looking down at the magnificent stadium, and not very confident myself, but hoping that Cork would at least be able to compete with Kilkenny, because that hasn't been the case for a while. But I needn't have worried, although we did slip up at injury time, but nevertheless we outscored them 1-8 to 5 points in extra time to make up for it. We beat them twice really in the same day, which is great. Jimmy, did you see the match?
I did. I did. I saw it. I saw pretty much all of it until talk about terrible timing. My daughter, who'd been playing golf, gave me a ring and said, "Can you call up and pick me up?" I had a look and I saw Cork were in front by 6 points and there were 2 or 3 minutes to go. And I thought, yeah, sure, yeah, up I'll go. Picked her up, brought her back down, and picked up my phone and saw in the 42.ie, the game has gone to extra time. I nearly shit myself. I ran into the television just to see it's all over. Cork has won. Cork have won. I was delighted. I really was. In spite of what I say to you, I have no animosity. I have no picture either. I have no. I have no animosity towards Kilkenny.
Join with audio. Join with video, Jimmy.
In spite of I didn't touch anything.
Did you turn the lights out? Did you pay the bill?
No, I didn't. No, nothing strange.
But what the funny thing, Jimmy, was Pat was at the hurling match, and at just as it was coming to halftime, Kilkenny scored, and Pat left to get the bus, and I rang him and he said, all I could hear was, "Let me out of here for Jesus' sake! I'm going to get a heart attack," to the guy that was on the gate. He couldn't watch the
extra time.
I was up in the Davin stand, and I was getting the 6:45 bus back from Dublin because I'd been up early that morning. And I knew if I waited till the end of the match, the bus I'd be getting would be into bumper to bumper traffic, if you follow my drift, and I wouldn't be back till 11. I said, but I watched a bit of it then down looking in the window of a pub in Dublin, the match. But Mary
but you're not a true follower then, Pat. You're not a true follower. A true follower stays to the end.
He wouldn't. He said, "Just let me out of here." All I could hear him saying was, "Just let me out of here. I'm getting a heart attack."
I had my jacket put on and my bag ready. All the sandwiches were eaten. Cock were 3 pints up, and I said, "Lads, good day." A load of us were standing up to go, waiting for the whistle to blow. Jesus, Tim O'Mahony was soaring out at the ball to clear up the field and just taken off top.
I think he was tripped.
There was only one man inside, which is a Kilkenny man, into the back of the net. Oh, mother of God, I said the same thing again. As
Adrian Mullen from Kilkenny scored.
He didn't have a bad game, actually. But anyway, the start of the match with Limerick and Waterford was very poor fare, really, for 50 quid a head to go in to see it, because it wasn't a contest, really. It wasn't a true hurling match. Waterford, I think, not alone were they poor, I think they were pretty much fatigued. It was their 4th weekend playing in a row, and really not making any excuses for any of the teams. 4 weekends in a row does take its toll. Although in saying that, Kilkenny had a couple of weeks break, and yet it didn't do them any good against Cork. Cork were playing their 3rd weekend in a row.
I think Kilkenny made Cork look good, though. I mean, I know Cork played fantastically, but maybe I have my biased hat on, but I hope they don't beat Limerick. But I'm glad it's a Munster All-Ireland final.
First
Isn't
time
it funny? You have 4 teams in the semi-final and 3 of them are from Munster.
Yeah.
and
Again, for the second year in a row, it's two Munster teams in the final.
But I mean, it's Anna. That's that imbalance between Munster and the rest of the country has been there.
Yeah.
As long as I'm following hurling, and I was at the 1959 All-Ireland, and the only reason Galway chose to play in Leinster was because they wouldn't have lasted any length of time in Munster, which I think, in fairness, while I don't like Galway, I think it was a bad mistake for them to play in Leinster, because they get one hard match ever in Leinster, and that's against Kilkenny when they happen to play him. Every
That's
so often Wexford
Yeah.
come around. Every so often Dublin come around. But if
That's
you if you look at the big 8 hurling counties, 5 of them are in Munster.
Yeah.
All bar Kerry are strong hurling counties.
Mm.
And outside of those 5, you've got Galway, Kilkenny, and Wexford. Dublin are sort of knocking on the door now, but
Yeah.
Wexford are gone. So it's really only 8 teams. And if it wasn't for the back door, it would be still a Munster team playing a Leinster team in the All-Ireland final every single year, which is what happened until the back door came along. So
True.
I'm not
But
surprised.
isn't it funny that Ulster don't seem to play hurling at all, do they? Because they never come out of anything.
They have some fine clubs. I mean, Antrim have always been a fairly strong county, but I mean it's
Antrim
something,
is one.
it's
Antrim is
something
one.
that, it's something that the GAA do wickedly badly, is look into changing things. Antrim will never go anywhere while they're a poor relation. Offaly have become a poor relation, and it's not that long ago they were beating Limerick in an All-Ireland final. So I mean, it's just wrong how they're organising things. They'd be far better off now. Obviously, those of us who wouldn't be winning the Munster final every year would love to see an open draw, but I would love to see what would happen to Kilkenny and Galway and Wexford if they were played in an open draw championship every year. I don't think they would ever see an All-Ireland final. Not anymore, because none of them are any good. And if I could just say, talking about the result on Saturday, Waterford gave them a game for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Until, as Pat said, fatigue finally set in. But if you had asked any of the experts at the start of the year, and I'm sorry, Pat, who are the likely All-Ireland winners this year, the 3 teams all the experts would have mentioned were Limerick first, followed by Tipperary and Galway, right? Those would have been the 3 that everybody would have said were serious contenders for the All-Ireland. Waterford got hockeyed on Saturday and were beaten. Fatigue beat them, but in fairness, we wouldn't have beaten Limerick. But to get there, we beat what everybody thought was the 2nd and 3rd best teams in the country. So I'm not a bit upset that we're not playing in an All-Ireland.
Right.
We'd be in there because I think Cork and Waterford would have made a great All-Ireland semi-final if it was at all possible. And whoever came out of it would have given Limerick a very, very good game if it had been in any way balanced. While I love the idea of the back door, 4 games against top quality teams, 4 weekends on the trot is impossible. Nobody could survive. Maybe we could, because
You
of
know something, Jim?
because Cork, even Pat would have to admit this. Cork were starting, apart from the subs who came on, the players who stayed on the field were looking very, very leggy coming towards the end of it. They really, really were, you know. And finally, again, this is going to sound like sour grapes. My understanding of what the water break was supposed to be was just that, a water break.
I don't know what that's for. That defies me.
It was okay because they were jamming things in, and players should take on water, and it's better organized. And the reason for it, Mary, is COVID. They don't want that many people on the sideline, and they banned a Muirishka, so the players couldn't be getting a bottle of water handed out to them on the field. That's the reason for it. But the rationale was it was going to be a water break. This idea of having a tactics board coming out to the players and showing them how things are going wrong, definitely.
It's gone very Americanized.
It's gone very...
It's like a basketball game.
Yeah, like an American football game.
Yeah.
What's going to happen next is they'll have people in the crowd with television sets watching what's going on, passing messages down to the managers on their headphones, and they'll be going out every so often and telling them So-and-so.
But Jimmy, how can they not, how can they object to, what's the rationale for objecting to someone handing out water, and yet you can have two teams?
No. What happened yesterday, Mary, sorry for calling. What happened yesterday in Croke Park is there was bottles of water being thrown in throughout the whole game. Throughout the game, from the sideline, the players running out to the sideline drinking water. So as Jimmy said, there's no need anymore for the water break.
No.
No need for it. It just interrupts the game, and really, sometimes you can walk against a team who's on top. They're flying.
Yeah.
You go for a water break.
I think actually, Pat, that anytime Limerick have a water break, they come out better after it.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah,
But
but that's because
you know what
Kylie-
I can't understand?
That's because Kylie, Anna, is a very, very cute tactician, and he has experts around him all the time. And they can go out, and at the water break, they tell the players what's going wrong, what players are actually weak. And just to lend strength to my argument, I watched both water breaks between Limerick and Waterford. RTE honed in on the Waterford panel for both water breaks. They never showed the Limerick team with the water break because
They did. Sorry, Jimmy. They did, because I saw it. I saw that. I saw
Yeah,
the
I did
board
too.
up.
I
They
did too.
Okay, well, obviously, I.
But not for long. You're right. They did.
But I mean, it's. I still stand over what I'm saying. It is absolutely wrong that we are heading towards a real high-tech element. If the players can't take a verbal instruction out on the field from the manager, which is what every other team are doing, Galway are the same. They're coming out with their things. Fair play to Tip. They're gougers anyway, but they aren't doing it. But it's very, very wrong that you can get high tech coming into a game, especially when the high tech is not officially sanctioned, and one team is not doing it and the other team is.
Well, Jimmy, is that not up to the GA to tell them they can't do it?
The GA, what you expect? Come on,
Hold
on a second, Pat. You expect the GAA to act on somebody not playing fairly when you had the ridiculous, ludicrous, appalling decision by James Owens to send a player off for a goal-scoring opportunity against Clare when the player who was fouled was closer to the Ennis Road than he was to the goal. And the referee said that was a clear, it didn't have to be clear. It was a goal-scoring opportunity inside the 21-yard line, right? Or the 20-meter, whatever the hell you actually call it. Everybody who knows anything about hurling knew that was an appalling decision. And everybody called on the GAA to say, look, stick in one word, clear, that he's fouling a player to prevent a clear goal-scoring opportunity. But no, they left it to the referee's decision to decide what's a goal-scoring opportunity. And anybody would know, a guy who's 6 yards outside the goal in a direct line, he can be brought down and a penalty not given away because he's too far outside the 21-yard line. And yet a guy who's fouled 3 yards inside the line and 6 yards from the sideline can be sent off because it's nearly a goal-scoring opportunity and it's inside the 21. Now, that was appalling. If the GAA were any good, they would have turned around and said, look, we'll stick in one word and we'll take the guesswork out of it for referees. That referee cost Clare a place in the playoffs, without doubt.
There's no doubt about that. But the water breaks, you see, is a new phenomenon. So there's no even rules or anything around it at the moment. But I dare say it will be dropped. After this championship, you won't see it anymore in the game.
I think it should be dropped, Pat.
Completely.
And Jimmy, maybe you can answer this. How come we say the back door for hurling? So why have they not got it for football?
They have.
They haven't.
They haven't, simply because in my opinion. Well, they had for a while, but they actually dropped it because there's more of a balance in each province than there is in hurling. The theory is, and it would bear in mind, it was Clare who asked for the back door in hurling because of what I just said. 5 of the best teams in the country are in Clare, and it was very, very unfair that if you've managed to get, let's just say Tip and Cork would have been the 2 leading lights. A county could basically look at the draw for the championship and say, that's it, we're playing Tip in the first round, we're fucked, lads, we can go on our holidays for the rest of the summer. And that was very, very unfair when Laois were getting to a Leinster final because Kilkenny were beating Wexford on the way to it. So that's why it came in. In football, the theory is that each province is more balanced and there's not that much of a need for it.
Well, because all 32 counties are in the hat for the Sam Maguire. In hurling, there's only
Not
one.
quite true, Pat. Not quite true.
Well, more or less.
31.
Yeah, and there's only one county in Connacht playing hurling, which is Galway at that level, and there's only Antrim in Ulster. So you only have, as Jimmy said, 10 counties out of, and there's 31 in football. This year, because of COVID, they dropped the qualifiers to straight knockout in each province just for this year, and I think next year. But that's it. It'll go back to the old system when this carry-on is over. But anyway, we're looking forward to Cork and Limerick in the All-Ireland final, and it may be
some of you.
yeah, it's on the 22nd of August. There'll be 42,000, I think, allowed into it, which is half 50% capacity of Croke Park. For anyone who has ever been in Croke Park, 24,000 yesterday looked like, well, you could hardly see them stretched out all over the pitch.
And Kelly Harrington can't have a homecoming.
I know, which is ridiculous.
It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you know, you can't even have your boxers train indoors, but yet 2 teams every week, 2 different teams can jump on each other and hug each other, and they can have how many? 20,000?
Yeah, but they don't realise, Mary, the damage that they're doing to our Olympics boxing teams, because I know all our youths, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be our next Olympians. We should be going away in end of November, October to Montenegro to the European Championships. We can't put a team forward because we can't have a championship for them. Those kids are missing out. Some of those kids that are youth boxers will never have boxed as a youth boxer, and they go straight into elites. It's not fair.
It's the same for us in the Irish dancing. There can be gymnastics, but you can't have ballet, or you can't have Irish dancing, but you can have gymnastics.
Yeah. What's the difference?
There's no difference to me.
We don't know, but over the weekend, Jack Grealish changed hands for 100 million, lads.
That is that's against nature, lads. I'm sorry. To play 100 million.
With all due respect to Jack Grealish, 100 million to me sounds. I don't know what it sounds like. I don't want to say the word here because we'd have to edit it out. But it absolutely, to me, it's stupidity, Jimmy. What did you think?
People starving in the world.
I agree. I mean, I look at well. First of all, I think, as I've said several times on this program in the past, I think the quality of English players, and that Irish renegade, that traitorous bastard, was an English player. I think the English press makes them out to be far better than
what they are.
And to give 100 million for him, I think it's a sign of how inflated the whole value of footballers has become for a game that's relatively harmless. When you see how much effort you saw, 100 young amateurs putting in over the weekend compared to what guys like Grealish have to do. But the other thing I would say about it, and nobody seems to be honing in on this, if you look at Liverpool last year, they had for a while the most expensive centre half in the world playing for them.
Yeah, but they deserve it, Liverpool.
Look,
Yes, they do, Mary. They deserve it.
look, who fouled him, took him out of the game
Yeah.
for an entire season. So Liverpool's, whatever it was, 85 million, they may as well have rubbed their arses with it for all the good it did them last year. Because no matter how good you are, you'll get injured. It's as simple as that. And
do.
what's wrong? It's not how much they're paying for Grealish. In my opinion, the real sin is the fact that City can spend money like that and thumb their noses at the European
Yeah.
financial fair play regulations.
Well, can I just say that, you know, Jack Grealish goes on ad nauseum about the fact that he's been an Aston Villa fan
Yeah.
since he was a child.
Right.
And he has just been absolutely devoted to Aston Villa. Suddenly now he's been offered, 100 million to go to Man City. And he's gone. And by his own admission, he follows the trophies. Well, that to me doesn't seem like somebody with character. He's a trophy hunter. He's a trophy hunter. I'd rather somebody that's stayed loyal.
He's not. This is the absolute rubbish that they come up with to disguise the fact that they're chasing money. That's all.
No, but he said it himself. He's quoted as saying it himself that he's a trophy hunter.
And so is Harry Kane, who has now gone back having talks about.
Nobody seems to want Harry Kane other than.
But
which I find very hard because Harry Kane, in fairness, was fantastic during the World Cup, and I mean he came up and he took a penalty and
he was goal used for the 38 matches that he played for Tottenham last season.
But he took a penalty, unlike Grealish.
All of this.
Yes. Grealish, Mary, Grealish, sorry, Jimmy.
Sorry, Mary. These guys are professional footballers. It is their living. And if anybody tries to tell me that an annual salary of 40 million a year is worth less than one fucking League Cup medal, which is what he might get if
I agree with you, Jimmy.
That is absolute and utter rubbish. It's money. They use medals as
Jimmy.
But lads, if you think about it, some of them are getting 100,000 euros or pounds a week. A week they're getting that.
Yeah, but
nothing.
Sergio
is getting paid. Do you know how much Messi is getting paid? Messi is getting paid 35 million euro a year. 35 million euro. That's small change for €1 million a week. That's over $1 million. That's over $1 million for every match he plays. €1 million.
But wasn't he willing to take half?
He was. He said he'd take half.
Gee, what a sacrifice!
Well, it's a lot less. It's a lot less than Grealish.
Hold on a second, Mary. Cutting his salary in half. Also, bear in mind, he's cutting away the take that the Spanish government, who are taxing him at 68% on his money. So what he's giving up, coming into his bank, is not quite as great as you think it is. And why in God's name would he not give it up for a year or two? He's been getting paid that for the last 5 years. The guy doesn't need money.
But Jimmy, he's 21 years with Barcelona. He's devastated. He doesn't want to leave. That I can see what you're saying about the tax and that. But I really do believe that he would have been willing to give up that half money to stay with Barcelona.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
I lost all respect for Messi over the weekend when I saw, probably in the 20th century, one of the most ridiculous pictures that you'll ever see.
But you're just hard.
Multi-millionaire crying because he wanted to leave Barcelona. I mean, how cynical can one get? How cynical can
he was crying because he's been with Barcelona forever.
Pat, I'm surprised. I'm not.
It's rubbish.
Pat, I think that's wrong. What you're saying is wrong. The man was crying because He loves Barcelona. He's
Yeah.
with him since he was 13 years of age. He's come up through all the ranks. He stayed with him
He made their
and the whole
name.
lot. And
He made Barca.
he was willing to give half his money. But like you were saying, like Jimmy was saying there a while ago, or Mary was saying about capping the wages. They have done that in Spain, and that's what's wrong. Barcelona couldn't give him the wages they were giving him.
No, that's not what happened at all, Anna. That's exactly not what happened.
But they said that. That's what they said that. They said that, Jimmy.
Because they're in such financial trouble, they were told by effectively the receiver of the club, because the club is in that much money.
Yeah.
They were told they had so much money to give in wages, and they had a choice. Do you want to field one player in every match that you're playing in the next season, or will you lose Messi? They had no choice. And I think he offering to cut his wages in half was a very cynical thing, because you can bet your life his manager told him there's no earthly way without you cutting your wages by 100th. There's no way Barcelona will be able to afford you. It is a pure financial move.
It doesn't take away. It doesn't let us.
Messi what wanted, unless they were going to pay him what I get paid in an old age pension. That was about all they could afford to actually give him. And if he loved the club that much, he could have turned around and said, "I'll play for you for the next 3 years for nothing."
Yeah.
If he was any good, if he was that much good for the club,
that would have been magnanimous of him as well. But you don't get that in professional.
But you're expecting an awful lot of people, Pat.
But it
That's
doesn't
expecting an awful lot of somebody who could be injured for the rest of his life.
You never get to spend all the money he has.
Pat, you forget about the fact that the money he's getting is a percentage of what the clubs get. And what, I mean, what do you do? Just let the clubs make and make and make and make off the players?
You must remember the club.
Players have to get something out of it.
Barcelona Football Club, like every other professional football club on the planet, is a business, and also it has huge amounts of other commitments to the myriads of underage structures that they promote and foster in the schools, the colleges, and in their own academies. So it's much more than one person. And the day that one person can dictate to a club what they should or shouldn't.
Yeah, but one person can win a match for you as well, Pat. And Messi has done that for years.
He has, Mary. You're right.
He has done it for years, but he stopped doing it for the last 2 or 3 years.
And I'm a Ronaldo fan.
If you went back 4 years, there is not a force on the planet that would have made Barcelona get rid of Lionel Messi from 4 years ago. He's not the player he was anymore, and they can afford to get rid of him now. The other thing, of course, that you can't ignore is that Messi has been charged twice with tax dodging in Spain.
That's right.
That's his private business. That's nothing to do with his playing.
Soccer.
Nothing to do with how the Spanish government are going to look on how Barcelona are carrying on their business. If Barcelona are going to facilitate him, and they did, hiding his tax income, 10 million in a year, that's some income. That really is. So Barcelona historically.
You're just hard, the two of you.
No, I believe that what you're saying is that Messi.
Up to about 12 years ago, Barcelona were the poster boys for clean world football. They had no sponsor. They wore UNICEF on their jerseys and got virtually nothing for it. They had the best academy in the world, and they won all around them. Messi was part of that team, but so was Xabi Alonso, so was Iniesta, was...
Oh, I loved Iniesta.
Wonderful, successful team. They made 8 of the Spanish team that won the World Cup. Barcelona were that good as a team. But then they got wooed by filthy lucre, and they went absolutely off the rails. They took money, they overpaid players, they hugely overpaid Messi. But you can bet your life he'll go to PSG now, and he'll get nearly that money from them.
Hakuna Matata, anyway, that's Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Is the wife or golden girl, and the final whistle is a program here on nearmedia.tv info@learmedia.tv is our email, and Kelly is our password if you want to get into the show. I'm only just joking, really.
KLLIE.
Before we finish up, lads, it has been a success, not because Kelly Harrington won the gold medal, but for the small pool of people we sent, and I suppose for the underfunding, which is a constant, the underfunding of it as well. We must also say something. I don't want to end negatively, but the boxing club that Kelly started boxing with in the inner city is trying to raise funds for a ladies' toilet.
That's Corinthians. Kelly was in Corinthians from the time she was 14, 15 until she was in her 20s.
Yes.
The impression I got reading it, and our registrar was the same, the impression we got reading that paper is when Kelly joined Corinthians, there was only one toilet there, Pat. That's the impression I got.
That's
now,
right.
We all only had a boys' toilet in our clubs.
Oh, I know that, but I'm just saying that that was 14, 17 years ago when she started there.
Yeah.
Not recently, but last year, I was talking to one of the gentlemen. Actually, I didn't get his name. He was standing outside. We were standing outside the what's it called? The credit union around the corner. It was so funny talking about that. And I said that story. He said, "Look, we will get funding for it. I won't mention his name. We'll get funding, but I'm just making the point. One of the TDs for that area is the Minister for Finance, Pascal Donoghue. He'll be one of the first down to shake Kelly Harrington's hands.
He will.
As many other politicians will, including our president. Yes.
And the genuine boxing people won't be able to get in to see her. And they're the people that she would love there.
They're the people who make the money.
You're dead right. But can I just say before we go, Pat, that for me, probably one of the heartbreaking moments of the Olympics, not just because Ireland was involved, there was also Germany, and that was the modern pentathlon. And I think to see an Irish girl going from third, fourth, third, down to 19th because she was given a horse that would not, under any circumstances, jump the fence. I mean, to be given 20 minutes beforehand to get used to a horse that will only take to certain riders. Horses are sensitive creatures. And there was another girl on him before that, and the horse wouldn't jump for him. And then the misfortunate German girl to go out first place after going through all the rounds and to end up 31st.
Yeah.
And then for her coach to have been disqualified, Kim Reisner, because she hit the horse. When the horse came nearer, she hit the horse on the backside to get him to move, because the horse, that to me makes a mockery of 5 years of training hard.
I was listening to the reports on that, and the good news for people who mightn't have followed the modern pentathlon, because you get to ride, you have no choice. A horse is allocated to each two competitors, not your own horse.
But they should have been quite good horses.
Yes.
Thing, but there's going to be, I mean, I heard the question people saying that they have to change that particular rule, because really to be given a horse, anyone who knows anything about horses, 20 minutes to get familiar with them. And particularly if the horse doesn't want you sitting on him in that 20 minutes, that means you're gone, you're completely gone as a jockey. I don't know, just one of the quirkiness of the modern pentathlon, but Natalia Coyle, she did very well. I don't know whether she'll go now on horse or not. She's 30 years of age, not that she shouldn't, but her husband, or is it her husband?
She's probably never going to be. She was fourth and she was fifth.
But I had to, Mary, before we go, the photos you put up, I was horrified with Mary. The blood coming out of the horse's mouth.
Was
oh
awful.
My God. It was horrendous.
That was in the show jump. That was the show jumping. Now, Cian O'Connor had no idea that the blood, and apparently they said that horses regularly, there's little veins inside their nostrils that in the hot weather burst, and you don't notice it so much when the horses are black. But this horse was grey.
It looked worse than what it was.
Horrific.
Oh, it did. I was so upset for the horse. I really was.
One thing I would say, one thing that I think Anna should be concerned about all this is that apparently Germany are entering a woman in the boxing in Paris who apparently has a punch that would fell a horse.
Oh, that's Reisner. Is she going into the boxing?
Oh, she is going to the boxing. She's not having nothing to do with the modern pentathlon.
I will take her back. We'll take her.
But you could understand, I could understand her because I saw she only gave the horse, well, a slap in the bum. But the poor girl that was for Germany fell off her horse. She was in bits crying. She was so bad. Gone from first to 31st because the horse wasn't suitable.
But you know,
I agree with you.
Do you know why that's the rule? When Coubertin came up with that concept, the idea was that in ancient Greece, the test for a soldier was that he had to go behind enemy lines, do the fencing and the shooting and the running, and the last thing he had to do was to escape from the country he was in by finding a random horse and riding it out of the place. And that's the thinking behind that you've got to win riding a random horse. But
the random horses should all be equally talented.
What they should do is they should give you a pool of 5 horses that you can spend a day training with.
Yes.
And in the end, then you can say, when I'm given a random horse, I want horse number 5 because he and I get on.
I agree, Jimmy. I agree.
It's much fairer because you know straight away that you and the horse actually get on, and it would be no great.
It's cruel, Jimmy, to the horse as well to have somebody on that the horse doesn't like.
Now, in this Olympics, before we finish, Ireland won their medals in boxing and rowing, and obviously we'll be making a case, if anyone is listening to this show, to increase the funding for boxing and rowing in Ireland because they seem to attract the most of the talented people we know of. Athletics, we didn't get to discuss. We can discuss next Monday because we need a fuller program for that. With our athletes, our athletics people have been abysmal. Only one of them got out of their heats, which is, I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they were in the place too long. I think some of them were.
But when you look at Sinead Diver, who could have come 10th for us in the Olympics in the marathon, and they changed the times, and she never qualified. And Sonia Sullivan's husband started training her in Australia, the country that she has lived in for a few years. She wanted to compete for Ireland, and she beat the Irish girl by. The Irish girl was 27th, I think, and she came 10th, and the other Irish girl stopped.
Do you know what I think is very sad, lads, and I'm being honest? We're saying, and it's on the paper, it's everywhere. Oh, fair play, they came 25th, or they came 9th, or they came 10th. Is that good enough?
No.
You know what I mean?
No, it's not.
No.
Sinead Driver made her Olympic debut at 44, and for Australia instead of our Sean Bell Mullet, and Australia gave her a chance, but she qualified, and I think myself, this is an exception.
The 10th in the marathon is great.
And I think anybody who can finish 15 or 20 in that humidity has to be given credit.
She was a late starter into running.
There's only 3 medals given out, but nevertheless, when you look at the African runners in the marathon, their history, and for Sinead Driver, 44 debut for us, and content, I think, was phenomenal.
Brilliant.
And couldn't compete for the country. Her parents live in Belmullet.
We want a prediction. Jimmy, All Ireland winners in hurling.
Limerick.
I would hope it would be Cork, but I got to say Limerick.
Mary, don't have him on anymore.
Hey, you're not coming on anymore on this show.
Mary, who you think
Wash your mouth out. Limerick.
Limerick. I think obviously I'll have to go with Cork by about 10 points. But,
in your dreams, 10
points is as many 10 points is what you'll want if you think you're going to see Cork win the All Ireland final.
That note, on that happy note, Hakuna Matata, everybody.
Hakuna Matata.
Matata, Kelly. And Jimmy, from Jimmy and Anna and Mary and myself, till we see you again, lads. Good night and take care. And if you're going to Dublin tomorrow, have a great time. Don't
I
worry about
will.
anything.
I will.
Okay. Kelly Harrington is driving into the airport around 2 o'clock, we said, is it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Good night, everybody, from this edition of
Night.
Finals. And we'll catch up with you again next Monday night. So
Bye.
Cheerio.
Night, everyone.
Gerwin will be back next week.
Good. I like him. Not